Of all the things that could ever happen while trying to fix their broken ship, the last thing Kyle expected was that he would make a new friend. Even more unexpected was the fact that this friend was a creature of poison that looked like a version of the Medusa, with head tentacles that dripped poison from their tips. Riala now sat beside him on a padded chair, her expression one of pure joy as she poured tea over a small tea table. The store around them was now clean, with a single shelf missing vials. Bottles of various sizes lined the remaining shelves, their contents glowing in myriad colors representing their exotic contents. Daniel sat in a chair across from them, still maintaining a safe distance from her, his posture tense and wary.
It's not always that I get to share a meal with anyone,
Riala said, her voice vibrant as she carefully set down the teapot.
Most self-aware beings fear that my poison would kill them.
She looked at Kyle with genuine warmth in her eyes.
I'm so happy that humans are immune to it and have no reason to fear me.
Daniel crossed his arms and said,
Just because your poison can't kill us doesn't mean we like you.
After a moment, he paused and added,
Though I'll give you bonus points for the poison tasting like honey and that voluptuous pair of,
Kyle noticed Riala was trying to understand those words parsed by her standard implant translator, when he jumped to action and changed the subject before she could.
On my part, you're already a friend,
He said warmly, then threw a pointed look at Daniel.
which is something you should say to her too, considering how you acted in her store earlier.
Daniel just said,
Kyle's a magnet for weirdness, and he should be grateful I was willing to pick a fight for him when I thought he was dying.
Kyle worried about Riala's reaction to their unfiltered conversation. When he looked at her, and she was still a manifestation of joy, she offered Daniel some tea, saying,
I don't mind the damage, and nothing you said would ruin my evening. I'm actually sharing a meal with someone.
The moment she poured the tea, Kyle worried for a moment that Daniel would refuse, yet he just took it and nodded, which made Riala beam even more. Kyle noticed something strange about the excessive happiness, and after a moment of considering whether or not he should, he asked her,
Why are you so happy just sharing tea with us?
All of her tentacles suddenly stopped their writhing movement, falling completely still as she stared at him with her piercing blue eyes. She hesitated for a moment, then said,
It's been a few years since I found someone of my species. Recently, I even considered defying my clan and selling the store at a loss, and then going back to my homeworld.
Her voice grew quieter.
I only didn't do it because I couldn't bring my pet Boro with me.
Kyle and Daniel exchanged a meaningful look, and Kyle gently asked,
How many years exactly you don't see your species?
She simply said,
If we exclude the bureaucrats' short annual inspections of the store, this would be my 7th friendless year in Limiar City.
Kyle considered it strange and found himself thinking deeply about her situation. After trying to see the world from her perspective, a being whose very body produced lethal poison, whose appearance frightened others, he finally asked gently,
Why don't you have any friends?
Her tentacles froze completely. After another long hesitation, she continued,
Other galactic citizens are afraid of me. They only visit my store if they don't have another option.
She stared down at her tea, her voice growing smaller.
The Vork hold their breath the entire time they're here. The Zinir cover their mouths and noses with cloth. There's even a Gonix who wears a full protective suit when he visits, terrified I might have been careless with my poison.
After a long pause, her voice lost all strength.
I barely remember what it's like to be hugged.
Kyle felt terrible for her. He could even see a hint of sadness creeping into Daniel's eyes. He abandoned his tea and stood up, and after a moment of staring into her confused eyes, he gently took her hand and said,
I would love to hug you.
Her eyes widened and she almost stood, but then stopped midway through and sat back down.
I might stain your clothes with my green poison.
she said quietly.
And I don't want you to do anything you don't want to out of pity.
Kyle didn't hesitate for a moment.
To hug someone as beautiful as you would be my privilege.
He said warmly.
And I'm not doing this out of pity at all.
She stood up and stared into his eyes for the briefest moment before her arms wrapped around him with a desperate intensity born of years of isolation, his breath struggling as she pressed his face against herself. Kyle could feel the warmth of her embrace as she pressed more, her relief and joy clear in every movement. Kyle didn't complain and hugged her back just as tightly, feeling her tentacles instinctively wrap around him like a protective cocoon. The sensation was strange, but not unpleasant, soft and warm, though he could feel the slight dampness from the poison that posed no threat to him. This was clearly her first genuine physical contact with another being in years, and he could sense how much this simple gesture meant to her. When the hug was finally over, he joked with a gentle smile.
How was it for you?
Her face lit up with pure happiness, her tentacles swaying gently as if dancing.
I could do that every day,
she said, her voice bright and filled with wonder.
Thank you.
Daniel cleared his throat to interrupt them, then asked,
Are you grateful enough to forget about the broken vials and the confusion from earlier?
Kyle threw the smiling Daniel a sharp look, when suddenly he heard her voice saying,
It's all forgotten, and I'll even tell you everything I know about the Finder and how you can improve your chances to repair your ship.
Kyle thanked her warmly.
I appreciate this so much. Liam, our third friend who stayed behind taking care of the ship, will be happy if we can finish our quest today.
The Finder is likely the hardest person to find in all Limir City,
she explained, her voice becoming more serious as she gestured expressively with her hands.
Even his clients struggle to get to him.
She walked behind the counter, her tentacles swaying as she moved, and retrieved a small card before returning to offer it to Kyle.
This is where the Finder told me to look for him in case I needed to find him for more exotic poison filters,
she said, pressing the card into his palm.
If you're lucky, Paul won't even need to look much to find replacement parts for your ship.
She paused, considering.
And since he's human, it might not be that hard for him to find human tech.
Kyle and Daniel exchanged a meaningful look as he held the card, and this time even Daniel was grateful.
Thank you, Riala.
Daniel said, his voice sincere.
You should go now before it gets too dark,
she said, concern evident in her voice.
Limir City gets foggy at night, and the streets aren't that safe.
Kyle joked with a grin.
You really want to get rid of us now, don't you?
Her eyes grew wide, and for a moment it looked like she was about to cry. Kyle's gaze pierced the interspecies barrier as he noticed that in fact she didn't want them to go. Daniel noticed this too, and rushed to drag Kyle toward the door before he said something stupid about staying.
I guess this is farewell?
Daniel said to her. Before Kyle could say anything, he felt 2 hands and several tentacles wrapping around him again in another desperate embrace.
Please visit me once more before you depart the planet,
she pleaded, a low whisper close to his ear. Kyle gently touched her hand where it rested on his chest and said softly,
I'll come back as soon as the ship is fixed.
Kyle gently released himself from her embrace and walked toward the door with Daniel, the weight of her hopeful gaze following them. As they stepped out into the bustling streets of Limir City, Boro, the giant store guardian, lifted his massive head and gave Kyle one final affectionate lick before settling back into his guardian position. Once they were alone and walking down the street, Daniel couldn't help but grin.
Well, your magnet for weirdness got you a girlfriend this time,
he said, shaking his head in amazement. Kyle looked back at the pavilion of vials one last time, seeing Riala's silhouette in the doorway, watching them leave.
I'm not sure about that,
he said thoughtfully.
but I know I got myself a friend.
Thank you for watching the 4th chapter of the Finder series. You can find the link to the next chapter in the video description. You can also like the video and subscribe to increase your chances of being notified whenever we post a new one. Hiss.